Joe. Doesn't matter, but when they go back and look.
I guess.
So.
I guess.
This is my weirdo.
I guess.
He thinks he's cool with his hat facing the wrong way.
I am not cool.
But it's not cool.
All I'm doing is, I'm just hiding.
Not cool at all.
I'm just hiding.
Bad
this
haircut.
mess under here.
You can still see it. It's better to wear it the other way.
You kind of have to guess. Like, does he have curly hair under there or something? Hey, if you're coming on, as soon as you get on, go ahead and
like and share.
Hit that share button.
I cut you off guard.
Yeah, you caught me off guard. Just hit that share button as soon as you get on. As soon as you get on. I should have got the other box to make it a little higher.
No, it's good.
Higher. Higher.
You're a nut job. That's what you are. Nut job.
What's going on, people? What's going on? Go ahead and like and share. Let us know where you are, who you are, where you're watching from. We're getting ready to go.
I was going to say to let them know who's their favorite you would be, but that would be a landslide over here.
We already know. First of all, they're on my page.
But they're coming for me.
I guess.
Do that ugly laugh again. Nut.
Come on, folks. We're finna get started. We're finna get started in just a minute. Go ahead and invite some people. Share the video. Invite, share. Anybody you know who is a couple or
you want to let them know what the top of sneak peek is? Because you know we're talking about that D today.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about the
D today. So
yeah, we're talking about the D. What's up, Tracy? What's going on? Tracy, Tendelicious. All right, y'all check out Tracy. Great chef. Great dude. Great food. All right. I think it's time to get started now.
Yeah.
All right. It's 10:01. 10:01. You know, we like to do stuff on time. So we're finna get started. And here comes the intro video. All right. Y'all hang on. We'll be right back. Real people.
Real love.
Real perspective.
Real experiences.
Relationship Goals with Joe and Lisa every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Hey! Welcome. It is Wednesday, 10 p.m. and you know what time it is? It is time for Relationship Goals with Joe
and Lisa.
All right. We are here every Wednesday, 10 p.m. right here on Facebook Live with you guys, talking about relationship goals, talking about real deal, real stuff, real greedy nigga, whatever you want to call it.
What the heck was that?
We're talking about the real deal stuff, all right? Again, to help you reach your relationship goals. Of course, we see the hashtags on Facebook. We see the hashtags on Instagram.
Relationship goals.
We see the hashtags. Do you see the hashtag on Snapchat? Because I'm not on Snapchat anymore.
I'm not on Snapchat either.
So I don't know if it's on the Snapchat, but you see the hashtag everywhere.
I'm not on there.
And everybody is aspiring to have their relationship. Hashtag goals. Relationship goals whenever they see a nice couple kissing or just posing. But they don't know the real stuff that's happening behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? To really get them to that relationship goal. And the relationship goal is for us to stay together forever.
Really?
All right. But tonight we're talking about the D.
The D.
We're talking about the D, y'all.
The big D.
Well, we're really talking about the D.
The big D.
The D. Now, you're probably wondering, what D are we talking about?
What do you think
What do you guys think we're talking about? What do you guys think we're going to be talking about?
Don't be shy. We family. We already in how many episodes now? Shoot.
Why didn't even put the episode
because
number?
there's too many at this point.
Yeah. So what do you guys think we're talking about?
Yeah, what do you guys think we're talking about today?
Who we got on IG over here? Who's on IG?
I can barely see that. What? I'm sorry, y'all on IG. I can't read. It's too far.
I think you should have turned it. But anyway, so we're talking about tonight. We're talking about what about the D? What about the D?
Does that D even matter?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Does the D matter to you guys? Does the D matter to you guys?
What about the D? Well,
don't be shy, y'all. Y'all so quiet today.
Now, if you're one of those people like what would it say? Your mind is in the gutter.
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about. Hey, Brittany Howard, you guessed right. We are talking about divorce. Yes, we're talking about divorce. The D. That's the scary D, the demon D in marriage and relationship or in marriage. Why you talk like that? I don't know.
Talk normal.
I was just talking about it was scary. All right, it's the scary D. All right, it's the scary D. That's, of course, unfortunately, sometimes marriages end up in that D, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, we're talking about this. First, because it's important to kind of talk about it.
Yeah, not shy away from it.
It's happening, right?
It is. More than we think.
More than we think. Ooh. More than we want it to happen. All right, true. So let's go ahead and we're just going to share some statistics with you guys. And then we want to talk about it. All right, talk about why is it happening? Why is it going on? Why in the world that D word is even mentioned or even exist in marriages. All right. So here's what's going on. All right. This is now mostly talking about in the U.S. 41%. Well, first of all, we know about 50% of marriages. Just about 50% of marriages end up in divorce. 50%. I don't think y'all heard me. 50%. That's half.
Yeah, that's literally half.
That's half.
Yeah, that's literally
like two sides of a coin. Half.
Half.
I think I told you this before.
You told me a lot of things.
Yeah, I told you a lot of things. Like in life, I forget where I heard this from. Where the some guy pretty much he said that everything in life is 50%. Because he said if either you do or you don't. Almost anything is either like a yes or no. Either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
Like he was like there's no how, for example, with condoms, they'll say, okay, well, there's 60-some% chance or 90-some% chance you won't get pregnant, but you don't get 10% pregnant. You don't get 20% pregnant. You either get pregnant or you don't.
That is true.
So he said everything is 50-50, or the percentage of you dying. Well, once you die. You're dead, right? Either you die or you don't. So, anyways, that's for the day. That's my tangent for the day. Okay, from philosophy classes. I think I got a psychology.
Probably
one of them. All right, but 50% of marriages. Yeah,
it's crazy.
50% of marriages. Now, what's even worse? Okay, it's out of that 50%, 41% of those marriages are in the first marriages.
The
first marriage ends in divorce.
Correct.
41%.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big number.
The first marriage ends in divorce.
You know what's even scarier number that? The people that get married for the second time.
And
end up in divorce. And that's 60% of the people. That's like a huge jump.
That's even bigger.
Yes.
I mean, if you got married once, I mean, you shouldn't, or if you got married once and then end up in divorce, hopefully you've learned some lessons. You've learned what works, what doesn't work. You've learned what to do and what not to do.
But you got to remember, each new relationship is different.
True.
So you can't always take what you learn. You can take, but it may not always apply. Because every situation is different and every relationship is different.
That's true. That's
very
true. So
you can't expect what you learned in the last one to automatically apply.
That is very true. But you're also learning about yourself in those relationships.
That is true. You learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
True.
And hopefully in that process, it makes you more open to communication and more vulnerable with that
more
new
open
spouse.
Right.
So that some of those things that hindered the first marriage may not even apply anymore for the second one.
But 60%?
Yeah, 60% is still a very large number.
I wonder if it's like both I guess both people in the marriage, is it both of their second marriage, or is it like, okay, it's my second marriage, but it's your first?
To be honest, I don't know based on the statistics that they gave, because only in this particular statistic it just says second marriages, so that doesn't necessarily imply that both parties were previously married and then they got together. Only one party was married and then they got married again. So that part I don't know, but I definitely can do a little bit more research.
All right. So about you've heard of the saying, third time is a charm. You think that's the case in marriages?
Not based on these statistics that we were looking at.
So we saw that 73%.
It went up.
73% of third marriages end in divorce. Now, somebody ain't paying attention. Somebody's not paying attention. I don't know. Or somebody is not. They're not taking notes. They're not paying attention. I don't know what's going on. All right, y'all. I hope we're not discouraging you with these statistics.
We're just being real with it.
We're just sharing the truth. Relationship goals is all about the real, dealing with the real stuff. And the real deal is
divorce happens.
Divorce happens. Divorces are happening. And from the look of it, it looks like now there was something kind of positive. Those numbers actually are declining. As high as they are, they're actually declining since the early 90s up until now. Those numbers are actually declining. So we're gonna share a couple of facts with you guys about divorces in America. All right. So there is one divorce every 36 seconds.
That was a divorce. I'm just kidding.
You get
it, the pause?
Oh, that was divorce. The divorce just happened. We don't mean to joke about this, but we're just going to share the reality with you guys. So here's the thing. It's good to talk about this because you need to know what's possible and what could happen. Now, in the case that you are getting into marriage and you're thinking about it, you're going to take, you want to take a pause, take a little bit of time and think about what you're going to do, what you're getting yourself into, because you don't want to be part of that statistics. And that's our goal tonight, is really to share with you guys what's happening with divorces so you don't end up in those statistics. All right. Yes. So what's the next thing? So because there is a divorce in every 36 seconds, that equates to 2,400 divorces every single day.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of divorces.
That's a lot of people.
No wonder why you see those. You ever see the little yard signs in the street? It says divorce for $99.
Yeah,
I'm
tax
serious.
seasons, they're like everywhere.
Divorce for $99.
But you know what I've noticed with those things? They're really in mainly minority communities.
Ooh, that's interesting, baby. I didn't.
You never really noticed that? You don't really see that outside of really minority communities in general as a whole. Even like the shopping areas that those people shop in, you usually see those type of signs in there, which is kind of crazy to me because I always wondered why I always see it in this neighborhood, but when I go to this neighborhood, it doesn't exist.
You don't see them. I mean, for $99, that's kind of cheap to get divorced, right?
Yeah.
I've never gotten divorced, and I don't plan to.
You won't.
I won't.
I'll make you disappear.
That's
before
right,
that
girl. We won't. We won't get divorced.
You stuck with me for life.
We won't. I'm just like, you see the face I made. We won't get divorced.
You see this, guys?
But here's another thing I saw that was interesting too, is the fact that it says that the average length of time of marriages before they get divorced is 8 years.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like,
8 years.
8 years.
So 8 years of being married. After 8 years of being married,
you're less likely.
No, people are getting divorced.
Oh, it says more. I read it the opposite way. Well, that if it was within that 8 year mark, it's less.
It's pretty much saying that the divorces are happening on an average 8 years after marriage.
Oh, okay. So it's up.
8 years after marriage.
Okay.
You say 8 years after marriage.
A dial-up moment.
Yes. So that means these couples are together. They're together for 8 years
before they're just like, I don't care anymore.
But 8 years, that's a long time. How do you go 8 years and then end up in divorce?
There's a lot of things that could attribute to divorces happening, from, finances, infidelity, just people drift apart.
After 8 years?
It happens,
after 8 years, things should be like...
But you got to remember, think back when we got married. We had our kids right away, so we never had that, honeymoon stage or the newlywed really stage. So imagine couples that right away they just get married, have kids. Now your kids are in the mix, so now there's really no you and me time like there was before you guys got married. And that change of dynamic can really affect you as husband and wife if you weren't mentally ready for it.
I think this is why I always say intentional.
Yeah, I guess it happens.
If you're intentionally dating, once you've gotten married, you still intentionally date your spouse.
But that's the problem. People forget that you still have to date one another once you're married.
So you think the dating part is the main issue? Because we know finances is one of the big issues. And going to the point that you mentioned earlier about seeing those divorce signs in minority neighborhoods, that I think that may be related to finances.
Yeah.
Right? Because in those minority neighborhoods, you have, the income may be a little bit lower
than some of those other neighborhoods,
and that could be a factor in divorces.
It is. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. Finances can often play a big role in why people end up divorced. Now, I don't think that should be the only reason why people end up in divorce, but unfortunately, we live in the real world where real money takes place, and that can happen.
Wow. And also one thing I noticed too is that most marriages, it's, I think in the article it says that if you get married at 25 or older, you're less likely to get divorced. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is kind of interesting.
Because we got married.
We beat the statistics.
Well, we didn't beat it, baby. That means we're in trouble.
No, we did because...
No, babe, I sometimes I got to break it down and
I be having dialogue sometimes,
and repeat it.
Wait, say it one more time.
So it said the statistic says that if you get married after 25, you're less likely to get divorced. So that means if you married before 25,
we didn't do that part.
You're more likely to get divorced. That means we're in trouble.
No, we're not. You know why?
Because we got married. I was turning 23.
I was 20.
I was like a month away from, just about a month away from turning, about a month and a half away from turning 23.
Do your math.
And you had just turned 21.
No, because I was 21 when I gave birth. I was 20.
No, you were 21, baby.
No, sir.
Babe, 2012.
Babe, when I turned 21.
You turned.
Oh, you're right, because we went to
Look, math was not my wife's strong.
That's not true. It actually was.
Oh,
but a different type of math.
I don't know what happened. Maybe.
Remember that if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So the younger you get married, the more likely you are to be divorced.
Yes, but I think that just has to attribute to really maturity level. Because if you think about it, generally speaking, your early 20s, your late teens is kind of like, oh, these are my party years. Let me go do whatever.
Right.
So you're really not as mature as you will be as you get older.
I don't know.
So that can play a factor in that statistics of people under the age of 25 that get married end up in divorce because maturity wise, or how some people be saying mature.
Mature, yeah. You're not mature
enough to really understand the responsibilities that particular commitment entails.
Yeah. So that means if you're 20, if you're under 25 and you're thinking about getting married, that means you might want to take a step back and but here's the thing.
Well, I don't want you to say take a step back because that's what marriage counseling
that's what they told
all
us.
These different things are for to really help you prepared. And I don't think if you think you're really ready for marriage, I don't think your age should be a deciding factor on whether or not you fulfill that commitment that you want to do. Because realistically, like, we got married very, very young, like everyone said we did. Like, some of the comments people were making about how young we were and got married, like, really made me mad. But, that had nothing to do with our age. We were mature enough to handle that situation. We took 2 different types of marriage classes.
We did.
We took a Christian-based one, and then we took the regular, like, one where you see a licensed mental health counselor and all those. Like, we did the necessary steps.
We took the mental health counselor because of her.
If he go missing, y'all know why.
That's why we saw the mental counselor.
Whatever. But, like, we took those necessary steps to better prepare ourselves because we wanted those. Right. That commitment to make.
Right. And the thing we knew we were young. Yeah. We knew that this is something we've never done before. Yeah. Now, one thing we actually that was also mentioned that we actually have that's a huge positive for us is the fact that let me see if I can find it here. It says that people who have parents that have been married for a long time. Okay, they're more likely to stay married if they grew up in a home marriage where their parents' marriages lasted a long time. Your parents next month are going to be celebrating 30 years.
Your parents.
My parents just celebrated 30 years last year in November. So we both have parents who have been married for a long time.
Correct.
Now. But here's the thing.
Stuff.
Well, there's always like a catch, and there was always like an exception, where there's always like a little but you have marriages, right? Yeah. That they're long,
but they got 2 different bedrooms.
But they're not strong. Oh, you like that? You like that?
Such a dork.
You like that? They're long, but they're not strong. You like that? That was cool. That was cool. I got to write that down.
You are
right. So you have marriages who are long, but they're not strong. Now, is that what do you think about that?
You didn't really ask me a question.
I just said, what do you think about that? That's the question. Y'all help me with this one, please.
No, I think I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like you said, we grew up from watching our parents be married and kind of like what that example is. So flip it on the opposite side. Imagine yourself growing up in a home that both your parents were married, or even in a home where both your parents didn't even like each other.
I guess now you have to say happily. Yeah, happily married.
Yeah, like imagine
both sides happy, because you could have marriage where the husband is happy,
and
but the wife is
you're
not
not
happy.
Social media happy. Or you real life happy. you
real relationship goals happy, right?
Yeah,
real happy.
But like, think about it, like. Just kind of flip what you grew up seeing. Like, my parents are uber lovey-dovey. Like, I remember walking in the living room, there'll be music playing, and they're legit just dancing to music. Like, that's just how they were. So I can only imagine, grow up in
Haitian
a whole...
Haitian parents don't do that. Sorry.
Tell me about it. That's not to say all, but some. But, imagine flipping the flip side. Your parents are married, but they refuse to hold hands with each other. They refuse to even talk to each other at dinner. Like, you imagine how awkward of a growing environment that could be for you, and like mentally confusing that could be to you as like what a standard or a norm should be. Because realistically, a lot of the things that we take on as our personality and traditions come from the things we saw growing up. So if you see, growing up, your parents are married, but they're not happy together. Like, you over here in your bedroom, I'm over here in my bedroom. You're going to grow up thinking that's the norm.
Or you might not even get married.
Or it may just turn you off. Like, why am I going to get married to somebody and I have to sleep in my own room, a separate room than them? Like, that makes no sense to me. So it's just really like, it can be really mentally mess you up here. And it could really just turn you off from the whole idea as a whole.
So what happens now when you do get when a divorce happens? It affects
divorce affects more than just the couple,
right?
It like if you have children, now it affects your children.
If you have children,
you have children, even if you don't have children, it still affects like your family members, especially like depending how long you guys were married. So if you guys were married 8 years based on the statistic, right, and then you get divorced, how many of your family members and their family members have intertwined and done birthday parties and Christmases and all these holidays with one another that now all of a sudden have to like magically cut each other off?
Right.
You know,
but at the same time, those aren't reasons for you not to get divorced. You know, if at the end of the day,
but the question was not to get divorced. The question was what happens to the people involved. You know, it's more than just you and I when we get a divorce. Well, correction, we pretending to somebody else get divorced.
Yeah, and
we ain't no pretending over here.
Look, it's like only one D that goes on in this relationship. All right, and I hold the D.
He's so stupid. I swear to God.
I hold the D.
Stop. Okay. You know, like it really can like play with you. Like it's more than like when you're talking about just the people involved. It gets a lot deeper than just the husband and the wife that are no longer together. Because
if there are kids, the kids are affected.
Yes.
Because now hopefully they probably have to live in different homes for a period of time. Or now, and they're also now getting exposed to maybe other people now starting coming into relationships with their fathers or their mothers. Wow. It's definitely not a pretty sight. And the thing is with divorce is that it affects like you said, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what can we do? What can we do to avoid getting there?
I think it kind of goes back a little bit to establishing that foundation for you guys. Like from the jump, if you already knew, hey, me as your wife, I'm expecting you, my husband, to make X amount of dollars, you know, then you have that expectation that before we got into this. So God forbid, you lose your job or something crazy happens, okay, you knew that was my expectation. So now you're not going to just sit on your butt and just chill. You're going to do what you got to do to go out there and meet my expectation, because that's what I told you up front. But me also as your wife, I have to understand, well, you wasn't expecting to go to work today and get fired, because if that was the case, you would have stayed home, right?
Right.
Nobody goes to work expecting to be fired. So, it's just, I think, establishing some of those basics, foundations for your relationship. Like, hey, I need you to communicate with me if you want this to work.
Okay.
If you want this to work, because I'm me, you need to touch me.
Right.
That means hold my hand, rub my back, put your hand on my back. No, don't touch my face, because we're going to fight on camera. Things like that. Whatever that is for you, you need to establish that in the beginning. Like, for me, cheating is a big no-no. I don't care who you are. If you do that, just know we ain't going to be able to move forward.
Okay.
So that
no forgiveness.
Yeah, and on that particular one, no ma'am. That's just me, but you may be different because everyone's different. And everyone has their own different opinion on that particular topic. But it's just establishing what it is that you want your relationship to be like long-term fulfilling. Like what do you think attributes to divorce? We talked about finance. We talked about cheating attributing to divorce. What else do you think it falls in that kind of category?
Okay, now I'm gonna get a little bit churchy here, all right? But that's our perspective, all right?
Correct.
So when we got married, I remember I was actually I was writing that in a little group marriage devotional that one of our friends is doing, and I remember when we got married. When it came time for the sand ceremony, is that what they call it? The sand ceremony?
We did a sand ceremony.
We did a sand ceremony.
Ours was very different.
And we had 3 colored sands. We had it was like a tan one. We had the blue one for me, and like a pink one for me. Now in our marriage, what that represented was the tan sand. We poured that first. And then we poured ours together.
And we actually didn't even pour the tan sand ourselves.
Actually,
our pastor poured it for us as a representation of Christ being our foundation.
Right. So that is the foundation. That is our foundation. That is our sort of our example and our perspective about marriage.
Yes.
And marriage is a what we believe is a covenant. A holy covenant. Not just between the two of us, but also with God. And we think we believe that it's instituted by God. So when I think
Side
that's
note, it is more than just a piece of paper, ladies out there and men out there.
Right. I mean, and I always tell my wife, like, for me, the piece of paper, it's okay. It's good for the court. It's good for whatever. For the
we were just following the
legality,
rules,
right? The legality of things. But for me, as far as what I consider my sort of my commitment and is really that covenant that I made. I know first of all I have to respond to God.
Sure do.
Then I have to respond to her. I don't want to do that. And then I got to respond to I would say to the community that we've created together. So when I think about those things now, that word, that D word is never, it never comes to mind. And it's really unacceptable. Now that's for us. That's for us. Okay, that's what we work towards that. We know that's never gonna be something that's brought up because it's not a choice. It's not a choice. And we love each other. We made a commitment. We made a choice.
You love me?
I love you, girl. I love you. I love you like a fat kid love cake.
Hey.
You know my style. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's 50 Cent. All right, but for real though, is that was for us, and I think that's the difference. And
I think a good visual reminder for people. I'm sorry, baby, but
I was in the zone.
I know, but this, like, for me, like, something I always remembered when we got married was the symbol of a triangle. If you ever see a triangle, it looks like this. And I was listening to this pastor, and I can't remember his name, but if I do, I'll tag him. He was saying, like, when you get married, you got to remember a triangle, because this is you over here in this corner. This is your spouse over here in this corner. But if you look at a triangle, God is up here at the top. So if you guys are both working towards God, it'll automatically bring you guys together. So if you keep God as your foundation, you have no other choice but to grow together.
Right.
And that's what, like, what you were, whole thing was saying, like, that's what I automatically think of, is that triangle of, like, okay, if me and you are working towards the same goal, we'll work together. I don't know. I really messed you up.
But what I was gonna say is even when you think about that might be even another topic that we talk about, is really sort of like the purpose of marriage. But what I was gonna say is that I don't think most of us have the right picture, the right picture of what marriage is and what marriage is supposed to be like. The Bible talks about the marriage is a representation of Christ in the church.
Correct.
And Christ in the church, what Christ did for the church was he died for the church.
He did.
He died for the church. So if you're willing to die for someone, you're not gonna divorce them, because if you're willing to die for something or someone, that means you don't want to get away from them.
Yep.
That means you wanna make a really an eternal covenant with that person, because you're willing to die. You're willing to die. So I think marriages out there should get that representation in that model from, really where marriage comes from, which is God.
And that all goes back to the whole thing that, people don't necessarily think of marriage. They think of wedding. Right. Everybody's like, I want a wedding. Right. But a wedding is just a giant party.
Yeah, just a big, expensive party.
A party that you're going to be like, why did I invite so many people and spend all this money?
Yeah. I
could have bought a house. I could have bought this. When in reality, you need to really be focusing on the marriage. The marriage is what happens after, and not even after that party sometimes. Because people get married and then they throw this big lavish party years later. So it's like, it goes back to what you're saying. People need to focus on the marriage aspect and not necessarily the wedding. Because if you want a party, we could all go to, Dave & Buster's and throw a party up in there. If you really want a party that bad, it probably costs you the same amount or close to it.
Right. Okay.
What do you guys think attribute to some of the
divorces and what do you guys
think about that?
What do you guys think are some things that marriages can do to stop divorce, to prevent divorce, reduce? No, you want to eliminate the risk.
What do you guys think on IG?
Because sometimes if it's brought up one time, now it's out there.
It's like
and,
a cold.
And you're thinking
like
about
germs.
it. The person who brought it up is probably like, oh man, I can't believe I said that. And now it almost become a possibility, right? Because we do have power in our tongue.
Honey. Kay's out here saying, money, people fight too much about money, all because they don't want a budget. And she also said, don't live above your means. That is so true. People out here trying to do a show, and in reality, they are like living on a
personal budgeting, personal
living on a mattress, but you out here driving a Benz. Like, it's crazy. But that's true. I think that is, a big factor that causes, marriages to not work, is you didn't properly budget as a unit. Because I can create my own budget, he can create his own budget, but if I never looked at his and he never looked at mine, we automatically are setting ourselves up not to succeed, because we're not in communication with one another to know what that budget really is. And I think that's a good point of, people need to live within their means if they truly want to help make their marriage a successful one. So that was very good, Kay. Thanks for your input. Oh, that's a good one, Cynthia. She said, a lack of trust and commitment. People nowadays are so quick to leave when it gets no longer what they want. That is very true.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I think you have trust is huge. Like, if you didn't even trust your partner, then why did you even get to the whole, let's talk about marriage? Because if you got to be behind their shoulder, what is it? They say behind your shoulder or checking over their shoulder?
Over the shoulder?
Yeah, checking over their shoulder. Then why even put yourself in that situation that you don't even trust somebody? Like, that blows my mind. And that actually happens, which is crazy. Like, what?
I mean, well, and the thing with trust is trust, it's going back to the whole 50-50 thing. Trust, you either give trust or you don't.
Don't, yeah.
There's no, I'm going to give you about 25%.
But do you believe you can earn trust?
Yeah, yes, you can earn trust. You can earn trust if you've lost the trust, but I think initially trust just needs to be given. Obviously, what's the person, I mean, I don't want to say earn it, because I feel like the earn it means like I got to do stuff, and like, I feel like that's like an ongoing process. Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like to me. But what I'm saying is, like, if you've decided this is what we're going to do, well, part of it is trusting the person.
Yeah. Trust is
so
key.
If that's the really person that you love and you guys have made the commitment to be together, mm-hmm. then you've made the choice to trust the person.
Yeah.
Right? Now, until they violate the trust, you just gotta trust. You just gotta trust. Trust the person's love and commitment to you to believe that they won't violate the trust. All right. Is there anything else? What we got?
He said yes.
Yeah. So pretty much, we wanted to talk about this tonight. Again, because it's something that's very real. It's the truth. It's almost like the big. I won't say the big elephant in the room. It's like we see all these marriages are happening, but nobody talks about the divorces that's happening at 50% at a 50% rate. That's ridiculous. And the thing is, this is not even outside the church.
No,
it's inside the church as well. It's just as bad in the church, So, at the end of the day, you just have to know. It's going back to when you're single, right? Going back to your single,
that foundation,
being knowing who you are, knowing having that identity, having that purpose, mm-hmm. Having that self-awareness, that self-esteem. So now you know exactly who you are, and you're able to match who you are with exactly who what God has revealed.
Bro, your fists are huge.
They are? What God has revealed you to be, right? What God has revealed you to be. Now you have to, find that perfect match and that person that you're compatible with. Mm-hmm. Now you intentionally date. Intentionally date. From there, you go to engagement. Of course, from there you go to married, and then you still got to intentionally.
You got to repeat
at the marriage. Repeat again. Back at one. Like what is it? Brian McKnight says, back at one. You get one, you like a dream come true too.
You're such a nerd. You're such a nerd.
But you have to intentionally date.
It's true though.
You intentionally work on getting to know each other, get to become that one where you truly know each other, you truly understand each other, you truly listen to each other, you learn each other's love languages.
Yes.
And of course, you still, and throughout the process, God is still the foundation. God is still the foundation.
Yes.
And whenever you get into any sort of rough time, any sort of bump in the road, you go back to what God says about the commitment you guys made.
Yeah.
But
and like something that not to cut you off again, I'm sorry, but something that I was thinking about today, I was like if you ever when you do get married, they give you the option, you can make your own or you take what's the standard given one.
Right.
If you went in and you took the time to write your own vow to your partner, when you're in those rough patches, how about you go back and revisit what you wrote?
A good idea, baby.
Why? Were those words just to sound pretty that day, or were there something really heartfelt and what you really meant to express? So if you really, meant what you said that day, when you're in those rough patches, when, money ain't always looking bright, or, you got to downsize for a little bit, take a look at what you wrote or what you said on your wedding day as a vow. And even if it's the standard one, that do you really believe it was till death do us part?
Mm-hmm.
Do you really believe it's in sickness and in health? Revisit what those words are, because those words meant something, and those words have power, and they can help get you through whatever that particular issue is. So you no longer have to really face that D word that everyone's so scared to talk about in marriages, I think that's such a good,
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great, especially if, like I say, if it's words that you've spoken, word that you spoke, you wrote or whatever,
or you sang,
or you sang, because I sang my vows. But it's what you meant. It's what that meant. Most like, it's like you wrote it in stones. I don't know, and it was words that you meant and you committed. Those were the goals for the marriage.
Yeah.
So go back to them and trying to rekindle.
Read it to one another and see if you're still angry at the situation. I don't know if you're ready for that part.
You mad till death do us part. But I don't want to hear that. But anyways, we're coming up to about 40 minutes. We like to keep it under 45 minutes. Yeah. And we thank you guys for coming on tonight.
Enjoying our little
on Facebook,
snippet.
You guys here on IG. Look, we are back. We're here every Wednesday.
But you can't just show them that, and we didn't ask them if they had any questions.
Every Wednesday. Oh, we didn't do Q&A? I thought we did Q&A. Okay,
I know you're tired, babe, but we gotta ask what y'all have any questions for us?
Okay, I guess I didn't do Q&A. Anybody got any questions?
Any questions or comment you want us to say?
We had some good comments on IG.
Yeah, you guys, thanks for participating. It was awesome stuff.
Any comments on Facebook? All right, we're gonna give you out about 30 seconds.
You gotta do the church countdown. Yeah, we're gonna wait 30 more seconds for you to praise the Lord. 30 more seconds.
I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
What? Anything on IG? Who's on IG? Who's that?
My friend Cynthia. She says
Cynthia,
much love.
Needed.
Oh, I saw much love. You see, I can't read these little words. I cannot see these little words on IG. I think I do, y'all. And my glasses are thick. So.
Who's that?
I can't read that.
Boy to Donnie.
That's your brother.
I think that's, oh Lord.
Hi, Donnie.
All right. I think that's it.
All
it.
Right,
that was
guys.
30 seconds. Look, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for coming on IG. Again, we're back every Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Every Wednesday
Relationship
at
Goals
10.
with Joe and Lisa. And again, our goal is to just share the real deal stuff about relationships that truly makes relationships real. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and like, share the video.
And you guys
of course,
do the same thing. Come visit our YouTube page.
Go.
You scared me.
I feel like we're both talking.
But anyways, you guys may not see it, but we do have a YouTube channel called Derilus TV where we put all our stuff on there for you guys to get a recap of it. So make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe at Derilus TV, Derilus TV. And again, we're here every Wednesday at 10. You're such a knucklehead. Don't do that.
All right. So see you guys next week. Or you guys can see me on Facebook Live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. live.
Yes, for your cup of Joe.
All right. All right. Let's just say
later. Bye, you guys.
Bye. Bye, Facebook. We'll see you guys next week, 10 p.m. Don't forget and share the video.
Share the video. Share. I can't see this stuff.